Hello, and welcome back to Got Ahead. This is one of a series of clips all about forget-me-nots, where we look at the tools that you can use to enhance your learning so that you can be the very best learner you can be in whatever task you're doing. The one that we're looking at today is axes to grind. And this particular clip is just going to take a very general view of axes to grind. In later clips, we'll look at how it relates to other forget-me-nots, and we'll look at in very specific ways how you can use it for memory, observation, reading effectively, and thinking. But this clip is just a quick run through of what the forget-me-not is and how you can use it and why you would want to use it. And the first answer to that is to save you time. It's efficient. It's one of your tools as a judge where you have to decide what you have to do, what you have to use. But it's all about getting you as a learner to where you need to be as quickly and efficiently as possible, so you don't waste time, and that is time that you can use productively elsewhere. So, for instance, axes to grind. There are two axes. First of all, there is simple to complex. It's obviously going to be an awful lot quicker for you to do a simple task than it is for you to do a complex one. Now, whether that is producing like a farmer, or whether it's purely an understanding task, either way, simple is usually quicker, complex is longer. In terms of breadth, that's where you're looking at the material that you need. Now, general is often easier to find. It's easier to access. Again, that's going to make it quicker. Where if you're looking at something that is very specific, then that might be harder to find. So if you're going to a library, for instance, looking for a research topic, then you're going to find a lot of general books on a particular subject and a lot fewer about just one small area within it. Or you might have to look at specific chapters within a general book. So it's where you will have to look for the information to do your task. But if you get the balance right between simple and complex on one hand and general specific on the other, you can be a lot more efficient in your learning task, which will save you time that you can spend doing other things. Let's look at an example. You've got a homework task that you've been given. You have to write an essay. It could just as easily be a project. It could just as easily be a block of learning in a home ed context. But you have to choose which topic you're going to do. And you have to think, well, which topic am I going to choose? So you have to again, this is you as a judge. You have to decide which topic is going to suit you best in the circumstances. So if you're at the simple end of the spectrum, then you have no previous knowledge. If you look at a specific topic, you could learn about that very quickly. Where if you have to include a lot of general topics, then that's a bit more learning that you will have to do. If you're doing a task where the whole point is to prove how much you know, then you're going to want to have lots of topics possibly rather than one specific one. But if it's all about learning, about increasing your knowledge, then you might want to widen out from the specific topic to the more general element. Alternatively, you might already know quite a bit about the subject. At that point, you're thinking, well, okay, I know a lot. You might not know everything. After all, who knows everything about a topic? Even experts rarely know everything about a topic. It's a spectrum. You're moving down that axis. So where you are as a learner depends on how much you know already. How long is it going to take you to make the next jump to the knowledge that you need for the task at hand? So if you are only looking at one small area, you're very specific, you can possibly move more swiftly in terms of deepening your understanding on that one topic. But if you have to have a deep knowledge over a wide range of topics, that's going to take quite a lot of time to do. So you need to think, what is my task? Why am I doing it? Is it to prove what I know already, or is it to learn something new? So if you already know about 4 out of the 5 topics, you might choose the topic that you don't know, starting at the level of no knowledge, the simple level, and working your way down to learn more, but on a specific topic, for instance. So we talk about steps to knowledge, where we go from what we already know, what we have in here, and we're, as a learner, we're moving to what we want to know at the other end. And in order to do that, you have to understand what you already know, remember it, and then build on that understanding and be able to recall it. So we use what we call teasels. Teasels are a plant that you can get in the garden or in the wild. And what's important about it is that it's got lots and lots of little hooks. So it's a metaphor for clusters of knowledge, because if you can hook something new onto something that you already know, on one hand, you're more likely to understand it because you can relate it to something you do know, and also you're less likely to forget it. It's hooked on. It's not going to go wheek away from you. It's going to stick because it's hooked onto something you already know. You're more likely to remember it and be able to recall it in future. So you need these clusters of knowledge. It's not just one fact, along a slippery slope. If you hook it on one after the other, you'll be able to keep those clusters of knowledge hooked together. And with Axes to Grind, what we're trying to do is to get you to use as few clusters of knowledge as necessary. Keep it to the minimum so that you don't have lots and lots and lots to do, when actually you might only need 3 or 4 teasels. Similarly, there are different routes to knowledge. That depends on you, the learner, what you know already, but also what your preferences are, what you like to learn about, how you like to learn, and where you need to go, and whether there's a deadline to it, frankly. So you might want to go a direct route, as the crow flies. There you go, as fast as you can. But you might not have wings. You could liken it to a Roman road, nice and long and straight. But maybe that's been overbuilt over the years. So you might have to find different routes to knowledge. So you could go a way that is much faster, but probably longer, a bit like using the motorway, where you are keeping it general, you're going for speed, you're keeping it simple, you're going fast, you're getting there as quickly as you can. You might have to go a little bit longer, visit some areas that you would have liked to avoid, but it's still quicker than because you're going fast. Equally, you might want to investigate lots and lots of detail, and that's more like taking the country lanes. It can be a much more interesting route. There are lots of diversions and detours, possibly. So sometimes you don't get to where you need to be as quickly as you could. Now, that might be a problem, in which case you need to think about, how can I get to where I need to go as quickly as possible? Or it might simply be a more interesting route to where you want to be. Interesting detail that can make your project stand out from other people doing a similar one. So we're not saying that it's speed is everything. You have to balance. You're the judge, remember. You have to balance efficiency and speed, getting to where you need to be from where you're starting, but what route are you taking? Can you go straight there as the crow flies with a simple book on one topic, for instance? Or do you need to go the motorway route where you're looking at a number of different books, but they're all quite simple, they're straightforward, they're not going to take a lot of time? Or do you look at quite complex books where there's a lot of reading, a lot of research, but a lot of it's quite interesting? That choice is up to you. You're the judge, remember. In terms of cross-pollination, that's a term we use because it's forget-me-nots, flowers, with other forget-me-nots. And that's how you can use axes to grind with other forget-me-nots. These are the ones that you can use in combination with axes to grind. We're not going to go into detail today. There's a lot of them. We will do that in another clip on another day. What you need to think about is your axes to grind. It's simple versus complex, general versus specific. What is the most efficient way to get from where you are to where you need to be? What way do you want to go? Where can you plot yourself? Enjoy the journey.